You are now tuned into Talks with Sean, the podcast. If you are new, make sure that you like, share, comment, and subscribe. And if you are not, welcome back. If you know, you already know what today's topic is. And today's topic is church hurt. And I have been going back and forth with myself for a long time before I even started. If I wanted to really talk about this and just kind of share my thoughts and opinions and experience when it comes to church hurt. And it's necessary. So this video is not to bash, not even to like throw dirt on anybody's name, but to bring truth, to release, and to help somebody else who is going through or is in it or is not going to church because of it. There is a lot of church hurt that happens and we don't talk about it enough. And so I want to talk about it. I want to encourage you with this episode, okay? So, y'all, just to give you a little background, and like I said, this episode is not going to be too long. So I just want to put that out there. But yeah, so just to give you a little background, I am a preacher's kid if you do not know. Been in church my whole entire life. Aunts and uncles, pastors, prophetess, prophets. I've seen everything, okay? But as you get older, right, you end up straying away and doing your own thing. But the Bible says that train up a child, and when he departs, if you know, you know, right? So when you have it in you, you can't go too far. God's not going to allow you to go too far. So I've been in ministry forever. And through my experiences being in ministry, I have seen a lot and I have experienced a lot from the back end, from not just being up front, but really behind the scenes, right? And so first of all, let's just take a moment to appreciate whether you like them or not, whether you rock with them or not, but let's take a moment to really appreciate our pastors and leaders. Even if you don't go to that church, give honor where honor is due, because even through people making mistakes and even through people, you know, not necessarily doing everything right, it is a hard job. And thankfully, I've got to experience that through different situations, right? And so it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of strength. It takes a lot of faith to get up in front of people every Sunday and every day and be a leader of a church. Okay, so just wanted to really give that honor and flowers to all the pastors and preachers and people who are in ministry that do what they do. Now, through doing what people do, right, pastors and preachers or your leaders, there can be times where you experience things that you feel like is not necessary, or you feel like things are not, they're not math. It's not 1 plus 1, okay? 1 plus 1 equals 2, and it's turning out 3. So through my experience of being in ministry, there have been times where I wasn't liked, and I wasn't treated right? And so someone who is young, someone who has been prophesied over their life, this is your anointed, you're gonna do this, you're gonna preach, you're gonna all that stuff, right? And you're still walking and learning your gifts, and also just learning how to be confident in them and just being confident in yourself. It can affect you, right? Because here I am, a young lady, a young woman who is having her own struggles and her own issues, and darts are being thrown, right? And so I say that to say that we don't know what other people are facing. we don't know that what is inside of us can bring out spirits and bring out things that are not of God. Now, does that mean that it's your fault? No. Does that mean that that you're supposed to go through that? No, but there's a lesson behind everything, right? And especially when being in ministry, you have to understand that we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities. And so when you are in ministry and when you're facing difficult times with people or difficult times with your peers who are in ministry, you have to learn how to not accept their behavior, but accept who God has caused you to be, so that it does not affect where he's taking you and the assignments. And many of us are on assignments when it comes to certain ministries or certain churches. 9 out of 10 times you're not supposed to be there forever, right? Some are. Sometimes God will literally place you in certain atmospheres just for you to get what you need to take you to the next level. And I believe that in some of the ministries that I've been in, there were lessons and there were things that I had to go through in order to prepare for what God is doing in my now. And we oftentimes are asking God, why did you allow me to go through this hurt? Why did you allow me to go through this pain? I already went through church hurt before, right? And here I am opening up again. God, you placed me here. God, you told me to go here. There was confirmation here, and I don't understand. If it was confirmation, then why would you put me in dangerous harm? Why would you allow this to happen, to hurt me? And there has been many a times where I have been in ministry and have put on a brave face, but as soon as I walk out that door and get in that car, I am bawling my eyes out. There were times where I just couldn't take what God was doing. I didn't understand what I did to feel like an outcast, or to feel like here we go again, right? To feel mishandled and mistreated and taken advantage of. But here's something that I've learned through the process of being in ministry and being a preacher's kid. God does not allow things to happen for no reason. And I want to speak to the ones who have not been to church. I want to speak to the ones who know you are called, but maybe your leaders or your peers or the people in the church have mishandled you. I want to speak to the ones who went to church and who was excited to go to church, but they had an experience that gave them a bad taste in their mouth. This is for the people that know that they love God, but people have made them not love church. I'm speaking to you. Through my experiences, I had to learn something. And the only reason why I learned this is because I had to go through it. And I had to go through feeling uncomfortable. I had to go through growing pains. I had to go through denial. I have to go through, being denied. I had to go through feeling in some way lost, right? To get me to where I am at this very moment. And we have to understand it's no excuse, but as much as God has given you grace, you have to give people a certain level of grace. And it does not mean make excuses, but as believers, as followers of Christ, we still have to love them. And that was the hardest thing that I had to do. There was a time where I hated church people and hated pastors and leaders. I was angry, I was upset because I had seen way too much, not just in one situation, but in multiple situations, multiple ministries that I have been in. I had seen way too much, and I didn't understand what was going on, and I was upset at myself that I had that type of hate in my heart. for people that I loved, for people that I prayed with, for people that I spent time with. I couldn't understand why I had so much anger, why even through my pain, even through my disappointment, I was upset that I had that much anger because I knew it wasn't me. And so when you are vulnerable, the enemy will come. He will come and use that to make you feel like it was all your fault. You're not worthy. You deserve what you're going through, all that. And so then there's emotions, and then there's anger, and there's upsetness. And especially if you're already mad, you're not asking God to help you with this. You asking God, why you let these people do me like that? That's what you asking God. You're not asking God, I need you to help me. Not in that moment. You're hurt. But through the process of spending time with God, I had to realize that it was working for my good. The Bible speaks about what the enemy meant for evil, God turned around for good. Before God elevates you, before God does something big in your life, he has to prepare you. He can, but he will not just push you out there and place you out there and allow you to hang. He will prepare you. He will allow you to go through things. Think about Jesus coming down. Think about Jesus coming down, and he had to go through people denying him. He had to go through people stoning him. He had to go through being crucified. He had to go through people that were his friends and peers turning on him. So what makes you think that it's not going to happen to you? What makes you think that you are not going to experience some type of level of crucifixion, some type of level of disappointment? That's why it's important to read your word. And I think that at some point in my life, and many points of my life, this is where we mess up. We make our leaders, our pastors, our prophets, our bishops, our God in a sense, without even realizing what we're doing. Many of us come from broken homes. Many of us come from already church hurt, and so you're looking for that void to be filled. You're looking for someone to want you. You're looking for someone to pull the gifts that God has given you out. You're looking for mentorship. And sometimes if you are not careful, you lean on their understanding more than God's understanding. Now, I'm not saying don't listen to your leaders. What I am saying is listen to your leaders, but also make sure that God has your ear as well. Without even realizing it, here I am, upset and more hurt because I put my trust in people more than I did God. Because I put my trust in people more than I did God. And because God is a jealous God. And because at some point in life of my journey of ministry, I was dimming my light and ashamed of my calling, ashamed of how God created me to be, God will say enough is enough. And can we talk about that too? I also want to talk about that. Thank you for that. Do not allow anybody to make you dim your light because of what is within you, because of what God has given you. God has made you loud, ratchet, ghetto, hood, bougie, whatever it is. God has made you like that because there are people that are out in the world that need to experience an encounter from God. And you worshiping and you praying the way you do and you rocking your jersey the way you do shows them that they're in the right place, but it also shows them that I am not accepted by people, but I am accepted by God. If I can see Brandon, if I can see Sean, if I can see Devin or whoever personality still be around the way type of girl, or personality still be whatever it is, but you know deep down, you see the light, you see that their personality is the same, but their actions have changed because they follow Christ, I want to experience that. So I just want to stop there and I want to encourage the ones who have dimmed their life. I want to encourage the ones who feel like they're not going to be good enough, or that their past is going to have an effect on what God is doing. Do you know that before you were in your mother's womb, that he called you, that he knew who you were? Do you know that nothing comes to surprise? And that's where the enemy comes in and tells us lies, because he'll make our past bigger than our future. He'll make our past become right in our face. And here we are, can't fully grow, can't fully accept who we are because of people who are insecure around us. That makes us feel uncomfortable, and so we dim ourselves. And also because of our past, because people in our past will tell us, oh, well, you did this, you still the same. No, I'm not. Or the devil will speak to you. Come on, we already know that our mind is the devil's playground. He loves that. And so I want to encourage you that even though those people, that ministry, that group that you were in, that church that you used to belong to or serve to, has mishandled or has hurt you, I want you to know that the biggest thing that we have to do is lean on our Father. And I can admit that there were moments where God was activating me to do what he called me to do, but I was not fully leaning on his understanding. I put my trust in people more. And so you end up getting hurt. Sometimes intentionally, sometimes it's not. But the feeling of putting your trust in people and God literally like just breaking you down is not a good feeling. And so I had to ask God for forgiveness, because I wasn't intentionally making people my God, but in reality I was making people my God. And we have to ask God for discernment. We have to ask God to grow. Many of us didn't get the proper mentorship. Many of us didn't get the proper experience to grow in our gifts. But we also have to understand that maybe you were just there for a season. Sometimes God will allow us to be there just for a season. And we have to understand that our expectations of what we think it's going to be is for us to get something out of it. It's for us to learn something through the experience that God is allowing you to go through. And yes, he placed you there. And yes, there was confirmation that this was where you're supposed to be because of where you're going. And there are so many things that I have learned through the process of being in ministry, and I am so thankful. It took me a long time, and it still is taking me a long time to heal and move forward from church hurt and disappointment. Now, do I take accountability of my actions? Absolutely, for sure. But when you are wanting to be wanted, when you are wanting to be accepted and you're not accepted, it does something to you. But I also want to let you know that Jesus wasn't accepted. And I'm not saying that every church you go to or every ministry that you go to, you're not going to be accepted. No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is Jesus still had his head up high. He still did his Father's business. He still was about his Father's business. And so as much as Jesus was about his Father's business, baby, you need to put your head up high and still be about your Father's business, even through the pain, even through God not releasing you to go or leave that church or that ministry yet, or even he has released you. Don't allow people to stop you from doing the call that is over your life. Don't allow people to tell you who God has called you to be when you know what's inside of you, when you know the gifts that God has given you. Don't allow people to tell you, no, that's not what you're supposed to be doing. You know what's inside of you. And we need you. We need you to do ministry right. We need you to do it with a boldness, not cockiness, with the boldness. We need you to love people as Christ loved the church. He allows you to go through that so that you don't do what you've seen. He allows you to experience that so you don't treat people the way you were treated. He allows you to go through that because he knows you're going to be in ministry, or he knows that you're going to serve eventually. He knows that you need community. And so he allows you to go through that so that you can see the red flags, so that you can experience that. But through spending time with God, through going back to your Father and making him the focus point, he can now guide you. He can now direct you and tell you, shh, don't say that. Or, okay, you can say that. These are the people I need you to watch out for. These are the people I don't need you to watch out for. This is the church I need you to go to. This is the ministry I need you to go to. We have to, thank you, Holy Spirit. We have to not get off the bus, because God is the driver. We cannot get off the bus of where the assignment is and leave the driver behind. Because the driver behind is going to take you to your full death. Come on, Holy Spirit. The driver is going to take you to your next destination. It's going to take you to your future. And if we get off at the assignment that the driver, God, has dropped us off, and we forget how we got there, we forget who told us to go there, we forget because we get so hyped up and caught up in being wanted and accepted, and I'm in ministry and all that, God will shut it down. You can have more than one God. So ask yourself, dang, did I put my leaders, or did I put people or my peers before God's understanding of who he has called me to be? Ask yourself that. For the people who are not in ministry and have went to church and had a bad experience, I want to apologize to you. Not every church is like that. Not every ministry is like that either. On behalf of all the Christian churches and all the ministers and pastors and believers who have did you wrong, I want to sincerely apologize to you, because I know how it feels to be wanting to be wanted in the place that you feel is the best place to be wanted and feel rejection. I know how it feels to feel like you finally had your place of rescue and still feel stranded. I know how it feels to be obedient and feel like my obedience got me nowhere. it caused more pain than anything. I know how it feels. But I also want you to know that through this situation, and through you saying you don't want to go to church no more, I'm done with church people, because I was the same way. I didn't want to go to a church house for a while, and still didn't. And moved in Houston and was going here and there, but was not with it. I don't even want these people to know what's inside of me. I ain't trying to do that. I don't want to serve. I ain't trying to be in ministry. I'm good. I love God, and that's it. That's how I was feeling. But through me making it about my relationship with God and not how people treated me and not what I went through, God began to work on me, and God began to mold me, and God began to give me revelation, and God began to speak to me and allowed me to see that I had you go through that because you needed it for where you're going next. You needed to not accept, but you needed to get more of a backbone. You needed to see that so that you don't do that. You needed to go through that, not because you're unworthy, not because you deserve it, but because of where I'm taking you in this next season. There are blessings in every lesson. And through God working on me, and through me being intentional and putting God at the focus of my life again, there has been so much healing and restoration. And through that, I am happy to say that God has placed me in a new home where I feel like I can really grow, where there is freedom, where there is intentional experience to create community in a way that I've never experienced through me giving everything to God. God has placed me in a new home where I can get restored and healed through the pain and through my experience. God is working on me for my own ministry. And so even at the moment of going through it, I didn't understand it. And even though sometimes it still hurts, and sometimes it's still traumatizing, it's still triggering, I trust God. I trust that, God, you allowed me to go through it so that I can get what I need for such a time as this. And I am so thankful that He allowed me to go through it. I'm so thankful that He allowed me to go through it and not get a shortcut. So I want to encourage you that not all ministries are the same. Not all churches are the same. Not all leaders are the same. Not all pastors are the same. But if you allow God to restore you, if you allow God to help heal you, I promise you He will take you in the right place. Not the perfect place, but the right place for you to get what you deserve. And I also want to let you know to forgive. Forgive the ones who have hurt you. Forgive the ones who you no longer talk to. Forgive the ones that disappointed you. I choose to let go of this pain. I choose to let go of the hurt. I choose to move forward. I choose to release so that God can get the glory out of my story, so that my pain, so that my hurt, my church hurt, does not keep me bondage. It does not keep me in shackles from breaking out and being all that God has called me to be. Sometimes God will place us in ministries and churches for us to learn, to prepare, to be all that God has us to be through the process of pain, through the process of pruning, through the process of going through. And so I want to encourage you to allow God to come in your heart and help you heal so that you can find another community. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, you don't need to go to church to believe in God or to do God's will. You do. You need like-minded people. You need people that are in the same community. You need community. You can't do ministry on your own. You can't do what God has called you to do by yourself. You need that. You need to serve. You need to be around atmospheres that are going to push you further to God. You need that. I need that. And it's time. After a year of living in Houston, Texas, I finally found my new home. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see what God does through that church and that ministry. I'm excited for full freedom to be all that God has called me to be. Don't dim your light. Don't hide in the back. Accept God. Accept how God has created you to be. Because there's somebody that is looking at you that needs you to walk in it fully so that they can be free, so that they can be who God has called them to be. And so he allowed you to go through it first so that you can be an example, because he knew that he can trust you. He knew that you would get the revelation from it. He knew that you would go through it, and through going through it, that he would heal and restore. So pray, give it to God. Don't walk with that anger. Don't walk with that pain. Because 9 out of 10 times, those people have moved on. They forgot about you. And you're over here still hurt. You're over here still angry, still mad about what has happened 5-10 years ago to you. Let it go. Wish them well. Pray that God will help them to grow and move forward. Walk with your head up high and appreciate how God has made you to be. We need you. We need you to do ministry the right way. We need you to serve the right way. We need you to love on people the right way. We need you to clap your hands and be loud in church. We need you. So I hope this episode resonated. I hope that it helped you. And in due time, a change will happen inside of you. You just got to be willing to be a part of the change and to be open to a new home and to be open to a new chapter that can restore and heal you. Amen. All right, y'all. I hope y'all like this podcast, this episode. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, you already know what I'm about to say. See you on. See you. Peace.